Welcome to Women Mastering Midlife, where we dive deep into the rich complexities of womanhood in our middle years. I'm your host, Victoria Bird, a pharmacist, certified women's health coach, and your guide on this transformative journey. Whether you're navigating perimenopause, thriving in menopause, or mastering midlife's many transitions, this is your weekly dose of expert guidance, compassionate support, and a judgment-free space to explore it all. Here, we're empowering women to master midlife on their terms, reclaiming our health, our happiness, and our power. Together, we'll rewrite the narrative around this remarkable stage of life, from something to dread into a beautiful, bold transition. I'm so glad you're here. Today on Women Mastering Midlife, we are diving into a topic that touches every corner of a woman's life: her home, her memories, her stress levels, and her vision for the future. I am joined by Tracy Hoth, a professional organizer, coach, and founder of Simply Squared Away. Tracy has spent nearly 2 decades helping women simplify their spaces and their lives through systems that feel doable, peaceful, and aligned with who they are becoming. Her work is all about clearing the physical and mental clutter so you can create room for what really matters. Whether you are preparing for a move, transitioning into an empty nest, craving a simpler home, or feeling weighed down by years of accumulated stuff, Tracy's approach to purposeful downsizing gives you permission to keep what supports you and gently release the rest. Today, we're talking about how to honor your memories, reduce overwhelm, and create a future-friendly home that feels calm, intentional, and easy to live in. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Talk about this topic is always so fun.
Yeah, it's funny because every so often I go on a walk with a friend or I have lunch with somebody and we all talk about how we just have so much stuff and we've gotten to the point where our kids are older, we don't need all the things and we just want simple. And so I think this will be a perfect episode, especially in the new year, as we all have these great New Year's resolutions to declutter, to organize, all the things, to simplify. And I think this will be a great way to set the tone for the year.
Yes.
So first of all, what does downsizing with purpose mean to you, and why do so many women hit an emotional wall before they even start?
I looked up just what downsizing meant, and it just means to make smaller, to move somewhere smaller. And with purpose just means you're doing it intentionally. And so downsizing with purpose means you're intentionally making choices because you have I like to think of it like a destination in your GPS. You know where you're going to go, so you are intentionally making decisions to get to where you want to go.
That's great. I think for a lot of us, I have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. So We're getting toward that point. She's going to be a senior next year. We're starting to look at colleges. And I am a purger by nature. Like, I just want to get rid of all the things quickly. But then I have kids who are attached to things. We were going through tubs in the garage even just a few weeks ago, and there's all these toys that I don't want any of these. And they're like, but what if when I have babies, I want to have these dolls for them? And so I think there's like this push-pull of the emotions, the feelings, the memories. We connect so much to stuff. And so I think, when working with midlife women, especially, why do you feel they're so attached to their belongings and all the emotions? What are some of the emotions you've seen come up with clients?
Well, I think that's so interesting because there's so many transitions. And so we've had these big roles in our life and all the memories attached to them. And we look at those roles and we think, oh, my roles are changing. What I'm doing is changing. It could be in career. A lot of it's in motherhood and what we're doing next. It's the unknown. We don't really know necessarily what it's going to look like and what we should do or what we think we're told we need to do. And so all that unknown and all the shifting and transitioning can be scary. And so it's like all those emotions come up, like grief or sadness if there were some challenging times, and nostalgia comes up because you're remembering all those good times. And then all the doubt, or maybe you feel guilt because of things not going the way you wanted. And all those possessions are attached to those feelings. That's what it feels like.
Okay. Yeah. I think one of the things that I have a hard time with is that I spent money on things, and if I just donate them or recycle them or whatever we choose to do, I feel like it's money that I've wasted. And so more than the sentiment and the emotion with a lot of these things, I feel like there's the guilt that I have is more of I've accumulated this stuff. How do I let go of things that I've accumulated that I don't necessarily need because it feels wasteful?
I know. And then, so I always think about this. Guilt is an emotion and it's tied to what we're thinking. So the fact that we spent a certain amount of money on something is neutral. It doesn't really mean much. And then we have a thought about it, and maybe it's not true. So I think I should keep this because I spent money on it. Really? Well, maybe you shouldn't keep it because you spent money on it. Maybe you should let someone else enjoy it instead of keeping it and not using it. And so just taking time to look at the thoughts that we have that are creating the guilt and kind of challenge them and just say, maybe the opposite is true or just is true. Because we could defend, no, this is what I've spent money. It's a waste. Maybe not. Maybe it's actually a waste keeping it in your house and not using it.
Oh, I like that. I like that mindset reframe. I'll think of that when I'm like getting rid of the kitchen gadget that I thought was going to save me hours of my life, and it just sits on a counter collecting dust. I mean, those are the things that I've been hanging on to. I'm like, I haven't used this in 7 years.
I know. And maybe you're giving a gift. So it's like we buy something and we keep it and don't use it because we think, oh, I spent money on it. But maybe we buy something, don't use it, and give it as a gift to the unknown person out there who's going to find it and be so excited at the donation shop or at the Goodwill or whatever, wherever you donate to.
So when you work with women, you teach a simple step-by-step process for downsizing. Can you kind of walk listeners through your method that's a way that feels approachable and not overwhelming?
Yeah. I think the first step is to, like I said earlier, set the destination in my GPS. So I know where I'm going. And that might be as simple as, for me, I want to make my house right now able to sell if I decide to. So I wanted to make it over this next year. I'm going to work on making it ready to stage. Kind of, that's going to be in my head. So when I'm making decisions on something, now I already know, oh, this is the filter I'm going to run it through. And this is the destination of where I'm going. So my house is staged and ready to sell if I decide I want to do that. Because we've kind of been thinking about downsizing a little bit. So that's the first thing. You have this destination. And then I just have 5 simple steps that literally work to organize and declutter any space in your life, any physical space, digital space, your brain. It works with managing your time and a project, and it works with everything. And it spells the word space because you're creating space. And so the first step is always to sort. And this is so key. And I've just done this presentation of a 15-minute declutter organizing session and how you can follow these 5 steps in 15 minutes. And the first step of sorting keeps you from having to make decisions, because often people walk in and they're like, oh, I just don't know if I should keep this or get rid of it. And when we sort first, we don't have to make those decisions. We just put like things with like things as fast as we can. Now that we know everything we have in that category, we can go back to it for the second step, which is to purge. And I like to think of choosing your favorites. Even when you were talking about what toys to keep, you define the amount you want. Let's say you want to use 2 of those black bins with yellow lids at Costco. You want to have those 2 things as toys that you're going to keep for grandkids. So you would choose your favorites first and you would put those in. Or the kids could help do that. They're like, yes, I want my kid to play with these toys. And when that space gets filled, the decisions are made for you because you've chosen your favorite first. So that's a good thing to think about when you're in the purging step. Then you assign homes to things. You decide where they're going to live. And then the fourth step is to contain. So actually, I teach people, don't go get containers or bins or dividers until you actually know what you're keeping and where it's going to live. So you have the measurements and everything that you need. And then the final step is to energize. You are energized, go back to that space and over celebrate. That teaches you that making those decisions was good and that you can do it. And then maintain that energy by tying it to something you already do. And an example of that is every year at tax time, I make sure I have an appointment on my calendar to go through my file cabinet to get rid of paper. Or every time I go to the grocery store, I clean the fridge out before I put groceries back. So I'm maintaining the spaces. So sort, purge, assign homes, contain, and energize.
Oh, that makes sense. I like that. I was when you were talking about the yellow tubs with the black tubs with the yellow lids. It's funny because we have those, and I'm trying to switch it over to the clear ones with the black lids that kind of like connect with each other because they stack better where everything is going to go. Yeah. And so it's smaller. So the girls want the black tubs with the yellow lids, and I'm like, no. We need smaller. We need stackable that'll fit on this counter in the garage. So it's funny that you say that because that was already a conversation.
Then now you know exactly what you need because it fits on that step where if we go buy the stuff ahead of time, we really don't know. And then it's too big or too small. It doesn't fit or whatever. So it's really important to know what you need before you go get any containers and shop your house first. You probably have things that you could use in different areas of organizing that you already have.
Yeah. So when you were talking about we were talking about downsizing and decluttering, but then you started talking about like computer files and like the space. It started making me think about, do you help people get rid of their pictures on their phone, like the digital pictures? Because I might need to hire you because I feel like when we had cameras with film, we had 24 exposures and we would think so hard about, is this picture worth an exposure, right? Or you'd get half your roll back and it would be black and be a waste of money. So I was always very conscious of what I took pictures of. And now I can hold a shutter down and take 75 pictures of one kid at bat because I have to get the perfect one, but then I never delete all the other ones.
Oh. It's so overwhelming. And I'm overwhelmed by that too. Now we do have a month when we focus on photos and we decide what project we want to complete. And that might be that you deduplicate the pictures on your phone. But a couple years ago, I sent all my stuff off to a woman that specializes in photos. And she has computer software that deduplicates all the things. And so I'm like, please just make all the decisions for me. I don't want to have to look at 30,000 photos.
Yeah.
But then it's that maintenance again, like having something tied to something you do, the appointment on the calendar to go back through. But it's so easy not to. It's so easy to just pay for more storage and not worry about it.
I know. It's in the cloud somewhere. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for the women that say everything feels sentimental, like they're so attached to all of the things, even the pictures. I mean, when I first got onto Facebook with my babies and I would take 25 pictures of Madeline sitting in the corner of a couch, and they're all the same, but I would still post all of them on Facebook. But each of them meant something to me, even though if I look back as a viewer, they all look the same. How do you help people figure out what's truly worth keeping and what's really going to add value?
I always think about something I heard a long time ago. If you keep everything, then nothing is special. So first, what is special? And again, I can do that if I think, what is my favorite? Like if something were to happen, what one thing would I want to keep? And then looking, am I honoring that? So is it on display somewhere? Is it framed? Is it have its own shelf on my bookshelf or whatever? Am I honoring what I'm keeping? And then you could add your next favorite thing. Are you honoring that? Does it have a place? The other question I heard recently, which I thought was kind of interesting, would anyone else want this when I'm gone? And if nobody else would want it, is it special enough to you that you're keeping it and honoring it? Or does that help you let it go? Because you're like, you know what? Someone else is going to make the decision later and they're going to throw it out because nobody wants it. Is it really that special? And that may be something like all those, I know we had mentioned the artwork, like a bunch of kids stuff. Like maybe nobody else wants that. Maybe your kids don't want that or whatever it is. And maybe a small book where you could honor it. You take photos of all those, or you send it into one of those places and you get back a book that you can have on the coffee table, that you can look at regularly, and that someone actually would want that. Like your kid might want that later. So deciding on those types of things is often helpful. The other question I think of is, am I stewarding my things well? Or how can I steward this well? Like if I've given the things that are in my home and in my life, am I taking care of them well? And if things are crammed in closets and stuffed in bins, maybe the answer to that is no. And how can I steward it better? And that may be being generous and giving it away, or asking my family members if they want this, or honoring it by putting it in a place where you can enjoy it and see it.
Oh yeah, the tubs of artwork. I mean, when the kids were little, I was pretty good about not keeping everything. But even now, I look in the garage. There was a huge tub of all of the schoolwork, and I was looking through it, wondering what a burden will this be when I'm dead and gone that they have to clean this out later. And that's a really good question, because I don't want to over assume when they're adults that they're not going to want it. But if my mom had my kindergarten homework, I wouldn't want it. I'd be fine without having it. So how do you make those decisions? I mean, that's one of the things that I think I struggle with most, is when I don't have a memory or a feeling attached to something, but I worry that I'm supposed to hang on to that for my children so that they can have it when they're older. Like, how much do we have to be their storage lockers?
I know. Well, having those conversations is good. And the other thing with that is limiting the amount that you're going to keep. So when my kids were young, we had a memory bin, we called it, in the storage room. And they had one of those, I don't know, file folders that kind of expand a tiny bit. And that was their limit for what they kept in each grade. And so when they made the decision on our main level, is this something you want to put in your memory bin? And then every once in a while, if they were off for school, we'd go down there, pull their memory bins out, and they would look through their folders and just be like, why in the world did I keep this? And then they would throw that out. So it's having them see, if I'm going to keep it and if I have this much space, what do I want to put in there? And the other thing you said is, I have worked with so many people in person who get things from their parents that give them all of their stuff. Like, not after they pass away, but just their memorabilia that they kept as kids. And the parent, our age person that gets that from their parents is just so overwhelmed. And so, I mean, I've had some of them so mad that they have to deal with all this junk now. And so it's actually better, I think, if the parent now makes the decision, or with the child, they make the decision about keeping it. I always like to think, is my 30-year-old son going to really spend time looking at this? Or can I make this special thing special by keeping 5 things from that grade, or however many things, 20 things from that grade, and see it? I remember one of my kids, they all made these clay art creations in school. And so I had one from every kid. And I was like, these are so special. And my kid is like, Mom, throw that out. That is dumb. And I was like, what? But I have one from each of you. And so if he don't even care, like, just get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my older daughter, art is not her thing. So she's never been excited about any of her art projects. So she'd probably rather me keep a paper that she wrote or a short story that she did, and not her artwork. So that's good to keep in mind. Hi there. I'm taking a break for a moment to tell you a little bit about something I've been diving really deep into. I have become completely obsessed with women's gut health, microbiome, estrobolome, probiotics, prebiotics, you name it. I'm learning all about it. And I want to share that with the Women Mastering Midlife community, which is why I created a live gut health webinar that'll be hosted only in the Women Mastering Midlife community. The Women Mastering Midlife community is a space for women who are tired of piecing together advice from social media, rushed appointments, or conflicting headlines, and instead want education that actually makes sense, a community of women who are going through the same thing, and access to experts right at their fingertips. It's a one-time fee of just $19, which will give you full community, live events, resources, thoughtful conversations forever. It's a one-time $19 fee as I launch the Women Mastering Midlife community. This gut health webinar that I'm talking about is going to walk through how gut health connects to hormone balance, estrogen metabolism, inflammation, and symptoms many women notice in midlife, all explained in a clear, non-alarmist way. No subscriptions, no upsell pressure, just the education, context, and support from myself. And we're going to get all into the gut health on this webinar. So if it sounds like something that's interesting to you, be sure to join the Women Mastering Midlife community. I'm going to have a link in the show notes below to join us before the webinar happens. And that's going to be at the end of February. So you only have a few weeks to join us to catch the live webinar. It'll be recorded and held in the community for the rest of its eternity. But I wanted to make sure that if you want to catch it live, ask your questions in real time, be sure to join us now. When my parents downsized, when my dad retired and they downsized and they moved, we moved a lot through my childhood, and every time we moved, there was always the dumpster in the driveway where they would purge, and then it was always this reaccumulation of more stuff. But one year, my dad was so toss-out happy, he accidentally threw out our box of Christmas ornaments, and it was right before Christmas, and so we were like headlamps in the trash bin, like digging around in a dumpster in our driveway, trying to find the ornaments, because it was all of our collected, not just like pretty decorative ones, but like all of the handmade kid ornaments and all the trips that we got something from. And I just...
Did you find it?
Yeah, we did. We did. It was funny. My younger brother, my baby brother found it. It was like he got the prize that night. We found, I think with his light, he found like the glistening of the pickle. I don't know if you've ever heard of the pickle ornament. So he found it, but I thought like we were never going to have all of our Christmas ornaments again. But I do, now that they are in this smaller home, they have a tub of my belongings. And my dad's like, do you want me to send this to you? And I'm like, no, I think it's good right where it is, but I don't want them to get rid of it because it's scrapbooks from college and all of those things. And it's probably unfair of me to keep that much real estate in their basement when it's my stuff.
Right.
But at the same time, I just want to get rid of all the stuff in my house. So
Yeah.
I don't need their stuff.
Yeah. And so there's that. And that's why I keep going back to that favorites. Like, define the space and choose your favorites. And it's not a problem. Like it's fine. What your decision, there's no right or wrong decision in that. And some of it will just be trial and error. And to honor yourself in the future, when you look back and think, why did I make that decision? Or why didn't I make that decision? You just did the best you could in the moment, and you will be able to make the next decision when it comes.
So what do you do when you have a spouse that wants to keep everything? And I'm sure you've worked with couples that don't have the same idea of what to keep and what to purge. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, that's very challenging because I like to look at it like their clutter tolerance is more or less than the other person. I think together you work on defining the space where you're allowed to store or keep things. So a lot of times one of them will want the main level to not have a lot of stuff that they kept, and they can keep it in a certain space. So define the space that you want that. I mean, conversations about it and realizing that person is free to make their own choices. And so you can concentrate on your own things and allow that person, and just keep having conversations, keep talking about it. Keep being an example of you letting things go, and don't how do you say that? Like, lose trust in the other person by sneaking things away, because that makes them hold on to it even tighter and not trust you to do it. But yeah, accepting that, but also defining spaces, I think, is helpful in a relationship.
I think that's fair. The hard thing that I would find is the Like if I know some family members, some women in my family who are very collective of things. And if I was their partner, how I would handle like the family collection of things. Like I don't care if you don't get rid of all of your clothes or whatever, but it's the collecting of the knickknacks and the random
Yes.
things that are collected. That's where I would find it to be tricky.
Yeah. It's so funny now that I have grown kids too. One of my sons is he likes little collective things. And so he has a lot more things. Even the people at his work, he just told me the other day, told him, you have a lot of knickknacks, which I think is so interesting. And then my other son purges every other day and gets rid of stuff I would never think that I would want to get rid of. So it's just interesting looking at and they all function, like both function and they're doing great. So not to attribute too much meaning to it that one person likes to keep more things than another. But in a relationship, sometimes that's really challenging.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that would be fun to work with when you have clients who don't agree with each other in the same house.
Yes.
So what are some of the big mistakes that you've seen people make when they try to downsize on their own?
I'd say one of the big ones is they don't treat it like a project. I like looking at decluttering, downsizing, organizing as a project that has a start and an end date, and planning out the project and putting times on your calendar to work on it. Because I think otherwise, if you just continually, endlessly have this weight over you that you're downsizing or you're decluttering, it just becomes so heavy feeling. And so if you say in Q1, I am going to downsize my upstairs, let's say, or my storage room, and you have a start and an end date and you've blocked off time and you've asked the family, can we work on this together to make decisions on this Saturday? And you have that scheduled out, all of a sudden you can see the result that you've created. You've done this project and finished it, or even if it didn't turn out exactly like you wanted, at least you had a goal that you worked toward and you made progress. And then you can decide next what you're going to continue that project, you're going to extend the deadline, or you're going to start a new project. But I like thinking of it like that. And again, having that vision for what you're creating set in advance, because then when you look at things, you're like, does that fit my vision? Does that fit where I'm going? Yes or no? And then you're able to make decisions on it.
So for the people who they have a big long-term plan, like, oh, once my youngest goes off to college, then we'll look for a smaller home, and they know that's several years down the road. Is it too early to start the decluttering process? I mean, do you give people I wouldn't do this in less than so much time, or is it an evolving, continuing thing they can do?
Yeah, I think it's like a layer of an onion. You have many layers and you can work on a layer at a time and keep getting more and closer to where you want to be. But people have done it. You know that the concept of something lasts as long as you give it. So I've had someone move and they downsize. I mean, they were forced to make those decisions and they had to do it in, I don't know what it was, 3 months because they found the home that they wanted. And you can totally do it like that too. And sometimes that deadline helps you make decisions a lot faster than if you gave yourself 3 years. So again, think about what am I creating? And that's why this year for me, I'm thinking about it like, okay, I want to be ready to move. So in every closet, I want to know, I would take this with me if I moved. And that might be a good question to help you decide what you're keeping or not.
So when we talk about all of this, there's emotions, there's energy, there's time, there's stress. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the ripple effect. Like what changes do you see in women beyond just decluttering or preparing to downsize? What have you seen in your clients?
Well, there's studies that show that if a woman just thinks about clutter, her cortisol levels rise. And so imagine what that does to her body and all of her systems when her elevated cortisol levels because of she just thinking about the clutter. And so what I've seen is women health gets better. They take care of themselves. They have time for that to be a priority. But then a big part of it is just confidence. Like now they know the steps to organizing. They literally can do anything. They can tackle any project because they know how to plan out the project because of those steps. Or they can, one other woman recently she took on a head role of a volunteer position that she held that she never felt good enough. And just in our mindset coaching, starting around her organizing, she now can recognize these patterns in her life that were, how you do one thing is how you do everything. How she was holding on to things or thinking about organizing. She's worked through that, and now she's working through becoming the leader and stepping into a position in a role. So it's so fun just to see how your life can change through the journey of learning the mindset of organization and also just the steps of organizing.
So for anyone out there who feels completely paralyzed, like they don't even want to start, they're terrified with all their clutter, they close it into rooms or they hide it in the garage. What's the smallest confidence building first step that she can take today?
I would say download my 15-minute declutter challenge. I just did a live training where I set my timer and decluttered this tub of my neighbor's junk drawer. So I went over there, got all her stuff and brought it back, and I set the timer. And I literally talked the whole time, like talking about what I was thinking and how I was doing it. And it took me 13 minutes. And so my sister used to do this. She would say, Tracy, how do you wash dishes so fast? I sit there and look at the dishes for an hour and think about what a big project's going to be. And then I start doing it. That's what she was telling me. And I was like, that's exactly what we do. We think that it's so huge and such a big thing. And defining big could be very different in everyone's mind. But set your timer, pick a spot, and just follow the organizing steps. And in that declutter guide, it gives you the steps and it tells you exactly how to do it. So you can just see like, okay, if I can do this little space, I can do the next little space and the next little space and keep going from there.
That feels a lot more manageable than just assuming you're going to have the whole house ready to go in a minute.
And that's another visual I get. So you picture all the areas in your home and they're all written out on a sheet of paper. And then take another piece of paper, lay it on top of that and cut out one little circle. And all you see then is the space you're working on. So it's like clean space all around it. And just this one thing, like my bathroom cabinets is on there. And all of a sudden just feels so much lighter in my own body, knowing all I'm looking at is this one space rather than my entire house needs help. It's going to take forever.
Yeah, my girls and I have been going through, I've been going through a bit at a time. Like I would say, okay, I don't have a big weekend. I'm just going to go under my like under the sink. Ugh. And go through all of I tried this shampoo, I don't like it. I tried this hairspray, I hate it. Like, all of the things that you can't get rid of because you bought them, but you're never going to use them again. You've already found a product you love or something. All of the travel toothbrushes that accumulate, all the things. It was a good tackling. But for me, the thing is the chaos that like I need to like lay everything out and look at it all. But the chaos of the bathroom while I'm doing that, knowing that I'm just doing a small space instead of the entire home looks like this, at least I can close the door and walk away and the rest of the house is still together.
Well, that's one of the reasons I say do something that you can do in less amount of time. Now, sometimes it's sorting all that and you could put the different categories in bins and then go through one category at a time. It's funny you said that because just this lady showed, I pulled everything out from under my cabinet. Now I feel worse. But if you sort it all and just say, today I'm going to go through the travel stuff. Tomorrow I'm going to go through this. I do the same thing with the closet. I always say, okay, pull all your jeans out. That's all you're going to do this week or this day or whatever. The next time, pull all your sweatshirts out and go through those. So do one category at a time is really helpful because you need to have everything you have in that category so you can see it because then it's easier to make decisions. But you don't need to pull your whole closet and every single piece of clothing out because then, again, you're going to be a little No
Oh,
one
yeah.
to sleep.
I used to do that every change of seasons. I would have my whole entire closet out, and then I'd get out what I didn't wear and decide if I'm going to keep it or not. But it's a full weekend. It's 3 full days of my room looking like a bomb went off, and I'm stressed about it. And then every day it got harder to start because I was like, oh, I got to go back in there. And I gotta
Yes.
So I like the idea of I'm just going to go through all of my jeans this weekend or this week or whatever. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I have all these ideas of things that I want to organize. But so when you work with clients, you not only provide the tools and the tips to help them organize, but you also provide a bit of accountability. So for people who have heard your tips and want to implement them but don't know where to get started or need somebody to help hold their hand and walk them through it a little bit, how do they find you?
Yes, I'm at simplysquaredaway.com. That's my website. And I either help people one-on-one, or if it's your home, I go have a program called Organized Life Academy, and you can find both those options on my website. And my podcast is the Organized Coach podcast. I help businesses organize the back end of their business too. So those are kind of my 3 ways that I help people with organization.
Oh, wow. Your brain just works in organization. I love it.
And I practiced 17 years of doing this and using the same steps. So once you know that, you could do anything.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming on today. I hope this helps people in the new year. If they have any dreams of decluttering or downsizing in the future, they can use this and they know where to find you. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Victoria.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Women Mastering Midlife. If something you heard today resonated, I'd be so grateful if you'd share it with a friend who might need a little extra support on her midlife journey. Remember, small changes can make a big difference, and you don't have to navigate this transition alone. We will be back next week with more expert guidance and compassionate conversations to help empower you to master midlife on your terms. Until then, you can find us on Instagram at Women Mastering Midlife, or come connect with me directly at Miss Victoria Bird. And you're looking for deeper connection and support, be sure to join us in the Women Mastering Midlife community. We'd love to continue the conversation with you there. If you've enjoyed this episode, please rate and review this podcast. It helps us reach more amazing women mastering midlife just like you. You'll find all the links from today's episode and ways to connect in the show notes below. See you next time.